came to Tokyo in 1997 to become a nanny. Well, I was young and I was wild and I wanted to see the world, and I didn't have a lot of money, so I thought it would be a great idea to travel as a nanny. I think Tokyo chose me. I planned to stay in Tokyo for about 6 months to a year, and now I've been here for 25 years. I went through a lot of jobs, and I was a nanny, I taught English, I had a little import business, and now I teach yoga. I started to learn yoga when I was working at a studio in Akasaka. I was teaching Zumba, and there were some yoga classes in the studio, and I started taking lessons with the teacher there. And she was wonderful. She did these really kind of heartfelt practices, and they were kind of slow, and I'm kind of a wiry, fired up kind of girl, and it really helped me to feel very calm and settled in my body, and it really felt like something to discover. I wanted to open a yoga studio in Tokyo because I'd been practicing for a long time. I'd got my yoga teacher training license, and I really wanted to work for myself and do things in my own style. The most important part of having the studio in Setagaya for me is to have an inclusive space where everybody feels welcome. It doesn't matter what you look like or necessarily what you feel like when you come to studio. You'll always be welcome here. We had 12 different nationalities at the studio one evening, and it was just, that to me was sort of the best class that I ever taught. It really felt that I managed to create, or help to create this place where it doesn't really matter who you are, that you're just welcome to come and practice and move your body and breathe and just hopefully feel a little bit better at the end of class. Yeah. Community is a sense of belonging for everybody. I do feel like I've facilitated a community in Tokyo, and being a foreigner here, sometimes the community is a little bit transient, but to create that space for somebody for the time that they're in Tokyo, to be able to have a place where they can come each week to feel better and to meet other people and create other friendships. My origin story with yoga, it's kind of silly. I went to a yoga class with a friend in a fitness club in Roppongi, and we took a class, and it was the studios in fitness clubs have like big mirrors, and we were stood in front of the mirror and trying to do tree pose, which is where you stand on one leg with your hands in front of your chest. And for some reason I got my eyes closed, and when I opened them, my friend was kind of wobbling around in the background and just couldn't catch her balance, and we couldn't stop laughing. I don't find this isn't the teacher's fault, but she asked us to leave because we were being really disruptive in the class. So as you can imagine, it took me a little while to go back to yoga after we asked to leave. It's really nice to hear students' feedback, and some of the things that they've said is that they feel better in their bodies and better in their minds. And as a teacher, sometimes it's hard to see immediate changes in people, but when I've worked with people for a little bit of time, and in the days when we could adjust people when we weren't too scared to get too close to them, it's really nice to feel someone's shoulders are a little bit stronger, or to see that when they raise their arms over their head, they can really reach up high. Or someone's got into a back bend and they haven't done it since the age of 10 or something like that. Those things are quite rewarding. So my art practice stemmed from me practicing yoga Nidra, which is like the yoga sleep. So basically you lay down and listen to a kind of guided meditation, and then afterwards often you're advised to journal. But instead of journaling, sort of some kind of art kind of fell out of me, and that's how my yoga artwork kind of began. And so each time that I do a yoga nidra, I often do a little piece of art to kind of sum up how it felt. So COVID impacted me. It did make me quite nervous, and I lost 2 family members to COVID, which is really sad. COVID impacted the yoga studio, but I had to close straight away when it became apparent that the pandemic was really bad, and I followed the government guidance. Now I can teach classes online and I can teach classes on the roof, so it's safer. We have a rooftop up here, and it's really nice to look over the city, and we can see Shinjuku, we can see Shibuya, we can see Mount Fuji. Living in Japan for 25 years, you do have a few struggles, and learning the language has been interesting. It's an ongoing process. I'm fairly fluent, but there are always situations where I can't say what I want to say directly. I have to kind of go around to make myself understood. I think living in Tokyo, you're always coming across surprising people. The other day I was having coffee in a coffee shop, and there was a lady just sat diagonally across from me, and she said, "Oh, I like your jumper." And I said, "Oh, thank you." And then we got to talking, and she's an artist here, and she invited me to go to her art exhibition. So for anybody that's first moving to Japan, my advice would be to definitely keep your sense of humour. And if you haven't got one, then perhaps don't move here. Another thing would be to be patient, be really patient. Things take time here. And the third thing would be to learn the language, learn Japanese as soon as you can, so you can really integrate yourself into the real Japan, into the real Tokyo. I'm going to read you a little passage about kind of how I feel that my life has been living in Tokyo for these past 25 years. And this is by Portia Nelson, and it's called Autobiography in 5 Chapters. Chapter 1. I walk down the street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I fall in. I'm lost. I'm helpless. It isn't my fault. It takes forever to find a way out. Chapter 2. I walk down the street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I pretend that I don't see it. I fall in again. I can't believe I'm in this same place, but it isn't my fault. It still takes a long time to get out. Chapter 3. I walk down the same street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I see it there. I still fall in. It's a habit, but my eyes are open. I know where I am. It's my fault, and I get out immediately. Chapter 4. I walk down the same street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I walk around it. Chapter 5. I walk down another street.